Yes, welcome to another session of Learn English with Louis. I'm your host. My name is Louis Joseph, and I'll be taking you today on how to use adjectives. We're going to be learning how to make comparisons using adjectives. So let's begin. First of all, what is an adjective? An adjective is a word that is used to describe a noun. Any word in English language that is used for description is an adjective. For instance, if we say that John is a tall boy, the word tall is describing John. Tall tells us a lot about John. It gives us an idea of what John is like if we wanted to find John. So that word is the adjective. It is a word that tells us about a subject or a noun. Now, an adjective is very important in English language because we would not be able to differentiate subjects without the use of adjectives. So, if we wanted to identify things, if we wanted to find parts to subjects, we need to use adjectives. And that is the first use of an adjective. An adjective is also a word used to compare nouns. If we want to compare two subjects, two people, two things, two places, any kind of thing that needs to be compared, we can also use adjectives. For instance, if we want to say John is taller than Peter, the word taller tells us the difference between John and Peter. The word taller compares John and Peter. It explains the difference between these two. So, I hope I've been able to explain to you how an adjective is used in a sentence, what an adjective is, how you can use it to compare, and how you can use it to identify nouns. All right, let us look at a couple of sentences that use adjectives. So, for instance, in the first sentence here, we have the tall man is my father. The word tall describes my father. So, for instance, if you are trying to identify my father, I have already described him using the word tall, and that tells you who my father is. So, if we were to take another sentence, and I said, the woman with the red horse is my mother. The word red is describing my mother. She's holding a red horse, and the way we can identify my mother or the way we can know her is through the red horse. If we see a woman with a black horse, we know that that is not my mother because she doesn't fit the description or the describing word red. So, red there is an adjective that helps us to know who my mother is. So, you can understand when I say that an adjective helps to describe a subject or a person, a noun. It describes a noun in a sentence. I'm going to also put another sentence and I'll give you 10 seconds to identify the adjective. So if I say that the black car belongs to my brother, how would you identify the car? What word is the adjective? I assume by now you've found word, but if you haven't, don't stress. You'll get it. It takes time. But the word that describes the car is black. Black tells us that that is my brother's car. So, looking at your screen, you can try a couple of these sentences and try to identify the adjective. You can also create sentences on your own to learn more about adjectives. But for now, we have been able to learn about adjectives being a word used to describe a noun. Now, let us look at adjectives being used to compare. In comparing adjectives, we look at it from three different sections. We have the positive, we have the comparative, and the superlative. These are three different levels for comparison in adjectives. The positive is the singular adjective word. It goes with direct comparison. If you want to compare or you want to describe something, a singular subject, just one thing, one item, one man, one place, one animal, one thing, you use the positive. For instance, if you want to say that my brother is tall, you say my brother is tall. Tall is positive because you're only talking about one person. You say that my cat is white. You're talking about just one thing. My house is big. Just one thing. The adjective big in that sentence talks just about one thing. But when you want to compare two things, we use the comparative. Just like you see on your screen, we use the comparative to describe more than one item and only two. We do not use more than two items in the comparative. So if we want to use a comparative adjective in the sentence my house is big, we need to use another house. So we could say my house is the bigger house on the street. In this sentence, we have compared it with another house. So in comparative, we compare two subjects. So for instance, if we say John is taller than Michael, what we're simply saying is we're comparing John's height with Michael's height, but we do not go more than two. We use two subjects or two nouns in comparative when we want to compare two animals. The tiger is larger than the lion. You cannot say that the tiger is larger than the lion and larger than the zebra and larger. When it is more than two items, you don't use the comparative. To recap, I say again that you use the positive when you're comparing just one noun. If you say that the lion is a big animal, that is the positive. But when you want to compare two animals, you say that the lion is bigger than the leopard. Those are two animals. So in the comparative, you compare two nouns. Tony is more intelligent than Michael. Those are two people compared. You use the comparative. Then in the superlative, you compare more than two. More than two. The number is infinite. It has no end. More than two. Any number above two, we use the superlative. For instance, we can say that the whale is the largest mammal in the whole world. We use the word largest for a whale because we are comparing it with all animals in the world, more than two animals. But if we want to compare the whale and the shark, we will not say the whale is largest than the shark. We will say that the whale is larger because they are just two we are comparing. But when we want to compare all the animals of the world, or more than two, we use the superlative, which we say the whale is the largest, no more larger. I hope I've been able to explain the differences when comparing using an adjective. I will recap and say that for one, as you see on your screen, you use the positive, and for two, you use the comparative, and more than two, you use the superlative. Thank you very much for joining us or joining me in Learn English with Lewis. I hope to see you again in our subsequent classes. Goodbye.